All right, great. This morning we're here with Community Safety Director Todd Barnette. Would you like to introduce yourself and maybe provide an overview of the Office of Community Safety, its departments and the number of employees and those sort of things?
Sure. I'm Todd Barnette. I'm the Commissioner of Community Safety. The Office of Community Safety has 5 departments under it. And most people are familiar with the police department, of course, fire department. Our 911 service is under that, but also emergency management is under the Office of Community Safety, and then neighborhood safety, the Department of Neighborhood Safety is under our office. We just added, I was going to say 10, but I think we're up to 11 or 12 employees because we had 2 new employees start in our office last week.
Okay.
And so we're mainly, our focus is a lot right now on standing up neighborhood safety. We just got a new nominee as the director of emergency management that will have a public hearing on September 11th, and her name is Rachel Sayer. And so those are some of the things that we're doing, and of course we're looking at our compliance with the settlement agreement, and looking forward to finishing up negotiations with the Department of Justice and getting a consent decree. So
Right.
Those are some of the major things happening right now.
So there's 11 people in your direct office, but of all the different departments, how many people? Do you have any?
Gosh, I would have to get back to you with that number. I don't know how many, because I'm thinking police is around 550, fire.
Then you have all the other staff. So
I know.
police is
I would have to
around
get back
1100.
to you on the number of total employees. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in some of those departments, part of the reason I ask is because, obviously there's a lot of shortages have been
Yes.
reported. So I just wanted to check in and kind of see how it's going, like filling those, I don't know if you call them backfills or what do you call them, but how's it going with the recruitment and filling in?
For the police department?
For the police, and I think, was it maybe 911 and different?
So for 911, the good news is 911 is reaching that point of almost being fully staffed. So that part is just fantastic because that means that they can have better schedules for people. They're able to reduce the number of overtime that they've had to have there, release some of the pressure where people go on vacation or need time off. So that's been just great for 911. And they moved into a new facility. So, that's been really good for them. And where they are.
What would you say is the draw? Like what created that success to get those people in?
I think when we had a shortage in 911, I think we saw a big exodus of first responders back in 2020. One of the things that's happened is that we started a Reimagine Yourself campaign for our 911 call takers and dispatchers. And I think we've gotten some success there, as well as just word of mouth recruitment that has been done for 911 in particular. For the police, I think most people know from the media, we were over 800 officers prior to 2020. We're down to about 525, I think, now. But we are seeing some promising results with our campaign in the outreach that the MPD recruitment staff has done. The last time I reported this was at the end of the second quarter. So as far as applications are concerned, for all of 2023, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, we did that same number the first 2 quarters of this year as far as bringing in applications. So we are hopeful that that will result in more officers joining our police force. I don't want to jinx us because the last couple of years we've seen more officers either move on to other law enforcement jobs or retire than we've had folks coming in. This year, I'm just hopeful that we can make a better push or a better effort with our campaign and our outreach with at least breaking even or doing better than that. So,
And how will the new police contract help you, do you think? I mean, a lot of people supported it because they think the increased salaries will draw more recruits. Do you have faith in that? Or
I have a lot of faith. Since I've walked in the door in October of 2023, initially we tried to get signing bonuses and retention bonuses for our officers, even though we didn't have a contract in place yet. So we were trying to draw people in that way. That did not make it through council, and so we really put a lot of effort and focused in on the contract itself because we needed to be competitive. Like a lot of jobs right now, you have to draw people in. We have to be competitive. And I think where we are right now since 2020 is that we have officers here that want to be here and want to see change. So we want to see those want to either get officers through lateral hires, or if we're going to recruit them right out of school, making this situation one in which they want to be here. Officers know, because it's very public, we're under a settlement agreement with the state human rights department. We're going to be under a consent decree. I think Chief O'Hara is doing a great job in changing the culture in MPD. And so not only do we need to be competitive with our salaries for law enforcement, but we also have to create an environment in which officers want to work in. So that's important to us.
So speaking of O'Hara, one of the things when this role, I think even before you took it over, right?
Yes.
People were concerned that there was going to basically be like 3 police chiefs. But this role is really supposed to unify the command. So maybe you could touch on that, and how would you respond to that kind of criticism and stuff?
There is only one police chief. When I took this job, Chief O'Hara and I talked about it. I've talked about it with the mayor. I've talked about it publicly. I've been in community meetings and said this. There is one police chief. That is Chief O'Hara. And so he needs to have the discretion and the ability to operate the police department with all the discretion that he needs to do that, and I want to support him in that. The chief and I regularly meet, and we talk about policies, we talk about issues within the police department, but he needs to run the day-to-day operations, and that's clear. The mayor doesn't run the day-to-day operation. Me as commissioner, we don't run the day-to-day operations. But there are certain things that we want to make sure that we are working together on and that is, the settlement agreement, the consent decree to come, the reform that's happening in the police department. All those things are important. I know you said unified command, but one of the things that people don't see is the fact that all 5 of the departments under me, Chief O'Hara, Chief Tyner from Fire, Director Hodney from 911. Emergency Management has an interim director right now who is Brian Gorman. And then we have Director Nelson Brown. So those 5 department heads with the leadership in the Office of Community Community Safety, we all meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And we do that with the purpose of collaborating and making sure we're working together. And so that started before I got here. The team had a choice of, do we meet less frequently but for longer, or do we continue to meet every Tuesday at 10 o'clock? And we continue to meet on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. And so I think what it's done is just brought us together where we have maybe in the past some of the work that one department's doing touches on another department, and so the example that I used before when I got here, and it wasn't even within my 5 departments, but I had reached out to leaders in the encampment and said, hey, the encampment's going to close. What can we do to help facilitate that? And they said, if you can bring a dumpster and some trash cans. Well, some trash bags, I'm sorry. And so they said that would be helpful to get us to, start to move. And I immediately, not my department, in any of these departments, but I'd immediately called our COO, Margaret Anderson Kelleher, and said, hey, can you help us? And so I think not just with our departments, but also having the ability to collaborate with other departments like Public Works, like the Health Department, has been very, very good for us to help improve maybe the response that citizens see.
So I guess I don't know how your office touches on the encampments. I mean,
Okay.
I thought that regulatory services would handle that. I mean, so why would a call like that come to you?
Because one of the things that we've tried to do is be more comprehensive as we approach these issues. We know that in the encampments, there's drug use that's going on, there's drug addiction that's going on, that's health. Mm-hmm. We know that there are people who are unhoused and unsheltered. We know that there is potential of crime that's happening. So it's not just reckless, other this one department, but it takes all of us. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it takes a partnership with Hennepin County because they are the social services. So working with them to say, hey, can we get folks from the encampment to your shelter beds? Mm-hmm. Can we have social workers connect folks to services that they might need? So it takes a partnership not only within the city departments, but also with us reaching out beyond the city. I think that's important.
Well, I mean, it certainly touches a lot of people, a lot of departments. Right? I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday, kind of a disagreement. And I believe I've heard you say before, as many other people have, that you offer them beds, shelter beds, but then there's a lot of disagreement over whether or not those beds actually are there and available. And then, I've heard other people talking about that shelters aren't safe. People go there, they have their stuff robbed, or they just don't want to play by the rules. I mean, how do we get to a sort of a workable solution, do you think? Because there's definitely a lot of residents that are kind of at their wits' end, I think.
Yeah, I think it's all of us trying to work together. I don't think that the city has all of the solutions. You know, I think that part of it is working, again, collaboratively with the county, with the state. I think that part of us addressing a lot of these issues, when we talk about, okay, number of beds. Since I've been here and we've closed the encampment, I can tell you that we haven't been overrun with people saying, I want to go to the shelter, right? I mean, a lot of this, we provide transportation to the shelter. We'll provide them with, hey, let's go get an assessment for drugs and alcohol. We want to provide those opportunities for folks. We want to try to see, hey, is this a point where they want to make change? And it's voluntary, right? We can't force them to go, and it has to be voluntary. But I think as we move along and we work together, we'll see better results.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of skip back to 9/11, the call center 9/11.
Yes.
You know, I've seen some folks online in particular reporting long waits, and they get pretty angry, as you can imagine. Do you know, like, what are the statistics these days? Is it improving in terms of call response, or was that a temporary thing because of shortage of people? You know, how would you respond to those folks?
No one should experience a long wait from 911. We've had folks say that before, and if they can give us or pinpoint the date and time, that's helpful for me to go back and look. If there's a telephone number, that's helpful for me to go back and follow. When someone's in crisis, every second I know seems like it's lasting forever. Don't get me wrong, but when we've gone back and had specific examples of people and we've done the research, it just hasn't been true.
Okay.
We have been steadily improving our response times for 911, but no one should experience a long wait. I know on social media someone said, oh, I waited 20 minutes. Not true.
Right.
That's just not true. And so all I would say is that I know that when you're in a crisis, it feels like it's taking forever.
So, it was recently reported, like, how many calls the behavioral crisis unit is taking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is that reducing the number of calls coming into 911, or is that just in addition to...
So I think you saw me get excited about BCR. Here's what happens. The 911 call comes in, right? So a call taker will take that call. When it meets all those criteria where we know there's a mental health situation where we can dispatch a BCR team, then they will go out and do that. So we have to make sure that it's not so unsafe that they can't go alone. The reason why I say that is it doesn't reduce the number of calls to 911. The BCR team is integrated into our 911 system, right? So the call comes in, we dispatch them. Where BCR has been helpful is that we have been able to dispatch that team to a situation that police would have normally responded to. And it really has reduced the number of calls in which we've dispatched police to.
And so what does a BCR team consist of? Like a social worker? Or,
I know that when they go out in their vehicles, there's 2 trained mental health professionals. I don't know if it's social workers license, but I know they are mental health professionals because I went on a ride along with them before and just had a great experience watching them work. I think one of the great things that,
And I think when you say right along, I think I saw that they were like lacking vans, and they just bought them some vans or something like that.
I don't think they lack vans. I know that we are in the process of providing some vehicles for them. I think this will probably help with their response time. I know we've had to, I think part of the issue is some of the vans have been out of service. So just making sure we have enough vehicles for them to do their jobs.
Okay. All right. So the price tag for the Southside Community Safety Center in the budget, I think, is $17 million. That's a lot of money in my book.
Yeah.
So do you have any insight into how they came at that number, and sort of what's your vision for the Community Safety Center? I know we're on multiple rounds of community feedback. I mean, so I'm sure you've probably seen some of those reports. So yeah, that's kind of a two-parter. How did they get at the number, and then how do you think it's going with the feedback, and what's your vision for it?
Yeah, I think that our Director of Design and Implementation, Amanda Harrington's done a great job with all the work that she's done with the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center, all the research and surveys and outreach that she's done to get us to a point of where we are now. As you know, we have a building. The vision is that the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center will have a precinct in it, the third precinct, of course. We'll have a police station there. Mm-hmm. Also, we will have some services there. So people go, what services? When you look at the Minneapolis Safe and Thriving Community Report, that report talks about 3 different types of services. Responsive services is one of them, restorative services, and the preventive services that we put in there. So we will have, and Director Harrington has worked very hard, we'll have all 3 of those types of services in there to open up the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center. We will have more than likely 311 staff at that building as people come in to direct folks to where they need to go and to help people. And so that's part of that vision that we have for the center. Okay. I think the important thing for people to know is that towards the end of this year, we'll have a Lake Street Safety Center open right there at Lake and Hiawatha. We plan to put, we plan to staff that Lake Street Safety Center with 311 staff. And so the plan is testing that out there before the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center opens. But our plan is to have staff there. And so the vision. Yes, go ahead.
That?
Yep.
I thought I saw that they just approved 2 new people for that, and they're not 311. They're sort of like safety coordinators between local businesses and things like that.
Not for the Lake Street.
Oh, okay.
Safety Center. It will be 311 staff.
Okay.
So the price tag. Part of that, of course, is the build out of the police station there, and the other part of that is to build out the services as well. We don't know the final price tag at this point because we, of course, have to get an architecture to give us the design and all of that, and then knowing exactly what services that are going in there. But we are heading in that direction.
So it could be less.
Could be less, right? We don't know exactly, but the mayor wants to make sure that there are funds available to open up the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center.
Okay. So I wanted to, maybe we don't have enough time for this, but get your reaction to what's happened with the group violence intervention and the settlement of that contract. What do you have? What's your response to that? Because from the outside, it doesn't look good, you know.
When you say it doesn't look good, you mean
It means like
the settlement doesn't look good?
No,
or-
well, I think the settlement is great, but it
Right.
doesn't look good that like a lot of procurement procedures and just basic steps that you would expect the government to be taking weren't being done. So
I think if you look back, right, and I said this in front of council, I can't remember which committee I was in, maybe Public Health and Safety Committee. This work has started, I think, in 2008. The Office of Violence Prevention was established in 2018. And when it was established under the Health Department. And then, I think it was 2022, that department was moved out to stand alone, right? And so we got the Office or a Department of Neighborhood Safety to stand on its own. And what you've seen, at least for me, since getting here, is to establish that department for the long haul, long term, right? For sustainability, for accountability, for compliance, and to be transparent. So that department, when it was moved out, none of the administrative and other resources that they had under the health department went with it, right? And so the reason why I say that is we reclassified some of the position using existing funds so that Department of Neighborhood Safety can have stability and accountability and compliance and transparency. So we reclassed for a deputy director, which they didn't have before. And if you look at the other departments, there's always a number 2, right? And we didn't have that before for neighborhood safety. We have associate director of compliance, right? And I think we filled that position recently. We are getting associate director of, I believe, programming. And then we're looking for, I think, an executive assistant as well to build out that leadership structure so that they have the sustainability and accountability as we move forward. I think that the Department of Neighborhood Safety has done a lot of things to improve where they are today, and there's more things that we need to do to improve. And I think you saw some of the things in the settlement that came out, and we will comply with the settlement and move forward. I mean, I think for people who might look at the Department of Neighborhood Safety, I think they should know that we're in a good place as we're moving forward. I mean, we really are looking back at sort of, when you asked me the question about the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center, I should have mentioned this. Having a comprehensive plan, this ecosystem for community safety is so important. Right now, when you look, we have what I call, and this is no disrespect to anyone, this is just the way it is, we have a hodgepodge of services, right?
Right.
So we're not coordinated with a comprehensive plan on how we're going to use these services. So lucky for us, the council approved, last year for us to have a contract with NYU Policing Project. They should have a report out sometime in October. that will help us based on the Minneapolis Safe and Thriving Community Report. They will help us with our comprehensive plan on giving us some recommendations, right? Hey, here's some good places where you can start to build out this comprehensive plan of community safety. And a lot of that work happens in neighborhood safety department with all the I think they have over 70 contracts there. So I think a lot of that work that we'll be doing, and also people should also recognize that a lot of the work that will happen in the Department of Neighborhood Safety will deal with these non-police responses that will be mandated to provide under the settlement agreement, like BCR or the consent decree.
So I have many questions, but I know you're kind of limited on time. Could you just speak to what, when it's built out, when you have neighborhood safety kind of buttoned down the way you want it, how will residents know that it's working? Like, what's the metric that you...
That's a great question, because I missed that part. So that's a great question. One of the things that we're doing internally and also trying to get help with is data collection, right? We want to continue to be informed based on the data that we collect, and to know that we're effective and know that anyone that we're contracting with, that what we ask them to do, they're doing it. They're doing a great job. Whether or not from those results we should expand it, or if something didn't work right, why didn't it work right? Was it something we did? Was it something that happened on their end that we can change to get a better result? So data is going to be so important to us as we move along. So I think what maybe residents didn't see that before, and we'll see it as we move forward.
So is it ultimately, say, like reduction in juvenile crime, or just overall arrests, or like what tells us that and I forget what the budget amount is for neighborhood safety department, but it's 18 million or something? Like,
they have a lot of contracts. It's millions of dollars.
So how do
and we have contracts as small as probably 5,000, and then millions of dollar contracts. So yeah, I think neighbors will experience a different way of knowing that things are handled. So the best way that I can explain it is when it comes to how we're responding, and you look at the downtown improvement district, DID concept, we want to bring that concept to the city, where we are dispatching our folks, meaning our folks that we contract with, to help us. So if you see an area in a particular neighborhood, which seems that based on the data that, crime seems to be going up, and most of that crime is happening between 11 p.m. and 3 in the morning. We would like to dispatch a community group out there at that time. And let's see if we're being effective, right? We need to dispatch folks to areas and times in which we know that crime is happening, to have an impact on that result. And so I hope residents would see a presence and also see a reduction in crime.
Okay. So I want to make sure that you have a chance. I don't know if there was any topics that you would like to make sure residents are aware of, or initiatives that you think are that you're excited about, that you want people to be more aware of, or...
I'm excited about a couple of things. I'm excited about the Lake Street Safety Center opening. I'm excited about the progress that we're making towards the South Minneapolis Community Safety Center. I am enthusiastic and looking forward to see what results we're getting from the Reimagine campaign for 911. We know that it's been effective there, and let's see how effective it will be with MPD. But that campaign will last for a long time, and it's not just for those two departments, it's for all of our first responders. But I'm excited about those.
Yeah, because
things
I
that we're
heard
doing.
Tyner.
Yes.
He spoke about, what was it? He wanted to hire 40 new people, I think, or I forget the exact number I heard him mention, but it was because I always thought everybody wants to be a fireman. I was really, I was surprised to hear that.
We always tease them that everyone loves fire. You know, they have a grant, a federal grant called the SAFER grant, in which they have applied for, and I think 2 or 3 years ago, they got 15 firefighters. And so what happens is the federal government will pay for those 15 for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I think it's next year or maybe 2026 in which the city will take on that responsibility. But I think what Chief Tyner would tell you is that he would like to see 4 firefighters on a rig instead of 3.
Right.
So I think that's what he would tell you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your
Thank
time
you.
today.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.